First of all, I would say my impression is that the Korean ecosystem for startup is actually doing great. I think you have your government has really recognized this field and are very proactive in trying to create something really good. And what really impressed me is the fact that the Korean government has also been able to attract the major corporations in Korea to participate in building up these startups. But this is something that is could be a problem, you know, if the big corporations are taking an uncontrolled part in the building of the startup companies or the startup entrepreneurs might be afraid of the big corporations that they will steal their idea, you know, and if they would complain, the big corporations will go after them with herds of lawyers, you know, which the small entrepreneur cannot really afford. So they will lose the battle, you know. But in this way, I think the government have organized a system where they work together with the big corporations and formed, as far as I understand, a smart network for building up startups. So that's really great. And that's, as far as I understand, this network is called CCEI. I met a guy from, I cannot really pronounce the city. It's a city slightly outside Seoul called Gyeonggi or something. Gyeonge, John. Young, yeah, right, yeah. I talked to like, yeah, exactly, yeah. So they are what I understand, the main hub for this network of CCEI all over Korea. And each of these centers are focusing on different business areas, business sectors, which is good. I think that's perfect. What I really would like them to do to make it more even better is also a connection to the university, to the academia. I didn't see the academia as a natural part of this startup system, because the Korean government tends to choose only to work together with the corporation. But I also think you need to have a link, you know, directly to the universities, the academia, because that's where you will find the real clever researchers and inventors. And also, I think, which I think the Korean actually are doing right now, to build up an international network of collaboration with other incubators. And we are happy to support you in Korea. And I have been talking to these guys in Gyeonggi, whatever it pronounced. I had a contact with a guy called, yeah, a guy called David Beck, who was an international officer, liaison officer for that incubator. So we are trying to create some kind of collaboration. So that's good. And also, I think, you know, it's one thing to have the big corporation fund the startup companies with venture capital money, and even the government, but it would be so much better if the VC funds would come directly from the middle class people of Korea, you know, the people like you and me, that you and I would be willing to take part of our salary, a part of our savings to invest in small startups. That would make it more vital, more vibrant, you know, the whole system. You know, if you could attach some private investor, private people, normal middle class people that would take part in building up the funds of the startups. I think that's so much better instead of having only the big corporations and the government approaching the startups. So, yeah. And also, last but not least, you know, you have to find ways to protect the IP rights of the inventors. So I don't know exactly how you work with the patent system and so on, but in the first few steps, you know, when a startup is building up, before they have been able to file for a patent or get the protection, they are very, very vulnerable. So you need to look after the IP rights of the inventor at the first stage. That's also very important. Otherwise, they would not really dare to go for this journey of growing, you know. So they need to feel safe, you know. I think that's important. Yeah, I don't know. There's one thing definitely that distinguishes Sweden from other countries, including Korea and of course the US and other European countries, and that's something called the professor's privilege. You know, in the Swedish universities, the researchers and the students and the PhD, they own the rights of their research findings. So if you are a professor at the Korean university or an American university and come up with some smart solution for a problem or even invented a new molecule or something, the result of that research would be the belongings of the university, of the laboratory, of the institution. And you, if they are kind, they will give you a portion of that right. But in Sweden, that's not the case. In Sweden, the university doesn't have any rights whatsoever to the findings. It's only belong to the researcher. So it's up to the researcher, the inventor, him or herself, to decide whether they would like to commercialize this idea or not. So that's something that distinguishes Sweden from the other countries. And there's pros and there's cons behind that rule. And I can get back to that. Another thing that also distinguishes, I think, Sweden from at least from the US and I think from Israel is the social security system that we built up in our country. You know, we have a huge public sector. The taxation level in Sweden is about 55%. 50 to 55% of income for middle class people will go to tax. And the other side of that coin is that we have a very safe social security system. So if you as an entrepreneur will fail, you will not end up in the street. Even if you have mortgaged your house and you know, lend a lot of money from your friends and other, and your business will fail, you know, you will not starve to death. You will be, of course, poor and you have a severe problem, of course, because you take big risks. Yeah, yeah. So you will not risk that your children will not go to school. You will not risk that your children will not be fed. They will not be as good fed as if you made a lot of money, of course. They may not as well dressed as if you made a lot of money, but still they will be dressed and there will be food on the table and there will be a roof on top of your head. So yeah. So that's one thing, you know, that's not, we are not unique about that in Sweden, of course. I mean, that's very distinguished the Scandinavian countries from the other European countries. And also I think Europe as a whole also distinguish itself compared to the US and to Israel when it comes to this kind of social security system. But what's worse really is what distinguishes us in a negative way, I would say, is the support for VC money. Because in Sweden, compared to the US and the UK, and I also know for sure in Israel, if you as a normal middle class citizens would like to invest in a startup company, you cannot really deduct that in your tax form, you know. So it's not deductible, the investment, as it is in other countries, which really promote the fact that normal people will invest in VC. So the access to VC money is so much better in the US, in the UK, and in Israel. And in Israel also, the government has, like you in Korea, also been heavily involved in supporting the startups. And they are also, like we try to do in Sweden, are very good in merging the findings from the universities within industries. Yeah. So I mean, the atmosphere and the climate in the company, whether you promote and really cheering the startup people or not, you know, is of course very important. That's something that you try to do in Korea, and we try to do here in Sweden, but haven't been as successful as they have been in the US or in Israel. So that they are better in that. So coming back to this with the professor privilege, the pros and cons behind this. So what really happens is, of course, that the university cannot really decide whether or not to commercialize an idea. They don't have any say in that at all. So that's a good thing. So we only need to talk directly to the inventor. The bad thing though is that, you know, researchers, they tend to brag about their invention. They want to tell the world about their invention. They want to impress their fellow researchers in other countries. Therefore, they immediately after they come to the smart conclusion, they start writing a thesis or they start writing an article in a scientific paper to get published. So they have a strive to get published for their findings more than make money out of the findings. So we have to find the researchers in an early stage and stop them from writing this article until the invention has been patented. And after it's been patented, then they can write the article. So that's that's a problem for us, you know, really. So we have to find the researcher in an early stage to stop them from writing these papers. Otherwise, it'll be very. As long as it's been published in a scientific magazine, then it's impossible to file for a patent. Yeah. So it's pros and cons. That's. Yeah. I think I touched that in the beginning of our interview here. What's really energetic me is the fact that I can work in an environment with lots of smart people and positive atmosphere. There is so much energy around working with startup people, you know. There's not necessarily young people like yourself. There could be older people, you know, but the companies are young, and the people behind the companies and the ideas, they are very energetic, and there are lots of energy, and they are so so grateful for the kind of advice that I can give them. So you get so much back, with lots of positive energy. So yeah, I think that's one of the absolute main perks of working in this industry. And as I said, also, I've been commuting and traveling a lot around the world in my former business life, but now I'm working in my hometown. So I take the bicycle to work every day. I don't necessarily need to wear a tie and a dark suit. I can even have blue jeans to work, and we have a very fun. I have fun to work. I know I'm longing to get up in the morning and get back to work. Although I'm over 60 years of age, so I still think it's really really fun to work. So I found a new energy in my working life, working in this industry. So it's very rewarding, and also the fact that I got to be able to meet people in Korea was really. I'm really grateful for the opportunity from Monday Today, to arrange this key platform conference and meet interesting and very skilled people in Korea, which I really appreciate. And I'm really trying to keep in contact, and expand my network with my new Korean friends. So yeah. That's also, a side effect of being in this position. So, and the fact that my incubator was ranked this high, which I don't really can take credit for myself because I only worked here for less than a year. So it's my colleagues, that helped to build this position. But the fact that we are ranked high also makes it easy for me to connect to other people around the world. So yeah, that's good fun. Yeah, I mean, it's having fun. It's having fun. That's one of the, the major goal. And I also think, what I want as a goal in my career is to have balance. I don't want to work like 60, 70 hours per week. I want to work like maybe 30 hours per week, and then have time for my grandchildren and to nurture my hobbies, which is downhill skiing and biking, road biking, and downhill skiing is what I do on my free time. So I want to have time to do that, and I don't want to be totally exhausted when I go to bed every night, which I used to be before, and having this kind of stress symptom where you wake up at like 3 o'clock in the morning with your heart beating, something that you've forgotten. Today I'm sleeping, my 8 hours healthy sleep every night, and I have a good balance in life. So that's and as I said before, the fact that I can work with people I enjoy, I can pick what kind of projects I'm working with, and so that's absolutely fantastic. So balance in life, and have time, to do something fun on your spare time. So you shouldn't fill up your life with only work and commitment and being ordered by your boss to do whatever it takes to fulfill your goals or his goals or the company's goals. My friend David Beck at the Gyeonggi CCEI, he works too much, I think. So I've tried to tell him to better balance in life. You get much time for your small kids, your wife and family, and so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think you will be more creative actually and more efficient if you had a better balance. If you're working too hard, you can be blocked in your mind, and you might come up with the best creative ideas will not come under a stressed situation. Although a small part of stress is probably good for you, but it shouldn't take over. That's yeah, yeah. You're welcome. Yeah, yeah. Mhm. Okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll keep in touch, and please reach out to the guys at the CCEI, and you can learn the progress of all the collaboration with Sweden. So yeah, and also I also got with me a invitation from Korea about the startup grant challenge, which I promoted to all of our startups. Some of them might be a bit too early for them to be able to apply for this because I was back from Korea in mid-May, this ends actually yesterday. Actually, it's ended the application time. So, but hopefully this will be something that will repeat next year, and then maybe we can be better prepared to apply. So this is an example of the Korean government's very proactive initiative in building up the startup community. So I really promote this. Yeah. Okay, good. So you post it on Facebook and send me a link so I can share it with my friends on Facebook as well. Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, good night to you, Patrick, and enjoy. Thank you so much. Bye bye.